Thanks to some brand new interviews that have hit the internet just recently, we have learned that yes, there has been changes behind the scenes and in front of the camera that affect everything in the MCU going forward, thanks to the ongoing delays that have happened around the world when it comes to productions. So let's talk about what some of these are that we are aware of and what some of the big rumors are saying was in fact also changed. So when it came to delays for Marvel Studios projects, we know very early on, from the moment that they started to stop productions of shooting TV series in spring of 2020 due to the ongoing worldwide pandemic, that things were going to get delayed. Now, of course, how much change was happening behind the scenes was a rumor, and we really got no confirmation. We heard plenty of rumors out there from insiders that WandaVision, for example, was going to do additional shoots and had to change course on some of the story elements because these elements would directly affect upcoming projects. And we saw that the wording of how things were going to come out and change behind the scenes and in front of the camera was also something that was very prevalent in interviews, and how things like Black Widow, for example, had to line itself up with the release of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier due to delays and spoilers. Recently, the WandaVision showrunner Jace Sheffer went into some of the details on her experience with the MCU by working on the series behind the scenes, and said that WandaVision was not directly affected to the extent that some of the others were, and while they couldn't talk about all the details and what scenes had to be reworked and what had to change, that yes, other Marvel Studios projects had to go through changes in order to avoid spoilers or directly stepping on other story elements or spoiling them outright due to these continuous changes every time there's a release date made or they go back to producing something else. Now, from our end, we know that The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is one of these, as that's supposed to directly tie in with Black Widow, which is why the two were always so closely bound together. After Black Widow, we were going to wait about 4 to 5 months, and then we were going into The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was our first step into this new world, and some of the things that we saw in Black Widow, how they tie into the post-Endgame MCU now that Natasha is gone. That had to be changed, with WandaVision taking the mantle of being the first new product of the MCU and starting Phase 4. They had to go through some changes because obviously if there was mentions of spoilers, those would have to be cut and reshot, which was why we saw and they confirmed the reshoots were happening late into 2020 and the show was still being edited as the first 2 episodes released, because they have to be very careful with the time and placement of these spoilers. And another big one that seems to be heavily hinted towards by many people is Spider-Man 3, because we know at one point it was not supposed to be a multiverse film. That was never sort of the intent for a third Spider-Man, but that all ended up changing when the whole ordeal and war between Sony and Disney happened, and Spider-Man 3 was supposed to start shooting in July of 2020, but all these delays in productions and everything changed the course of the story, its release, and how it touches every other product around it, because again, it's a multiverse product. So everything that's in the multiverse seems to be affected in a completely different way than everything outside of it. And through reading through multiple interviews and comments made by people on WandaVision specifically, you get the idea that things were changing on the fly with every delay.